everybody. So, as you might know, the Minecraft movie came out recently, and to capitalize on this, I feel like I should make stuff. Partially because it's going to be popular, but also because I'm an insane Minecraft. Now, I've already made things in the past, like this brewing stand, and this enchantment table, and even this cursed little creeper with a human face. Now, similar to that creeper, there's a green fellow from the Minecraft movie that I think I should make. That would be the Nitwit villager. Now, first step in any good process is to draw out what you want. This, being an epic drawing, will show me what I need to work on. For this part, I need cloth. For this part and this part, I will also need cloth. Up here, I'll need a clay head and some fuzz for the eyebrow. Now, a good place to start is the clay. So I'm going to take that clay and I'm going to mold it into a villager head shape. Now, of course, I overestimated how rectangular this villager's head was, so I made it a little too tall. Now, adding the nose, I made sure to smooth everything down to make it all nice and smooth, bonding things together. After that, I poked in the eye holes, and then I poked it with another brush to give it some sort of skin texture. Now, I'm going for a little bit of a smile on the villager, so I gave him his raised cheeks, and then I started working on bulking up the brow and the forehead. Using a heat drying clay, I made some eyeballs, which I then painted white, and proceeded to jam in his eye holes. Bulking up the area around his eyeballs, I'm able to form them into a sort of eye-shaped eye area. After that was all built up, I added some eye dots to make it look less Herobrine-y, and that's when I realized I made the head too rectangular. The attempts to sand down the head to make it more square did not make it as square as it is in the movie. Nonetheless, I went on to creating clothes. Instead of using fabric for the shirt, I decided to use paper. So I measured out the right size and then stuck it all together. Using my epic kirigami skills, I'm able to fold all the pieces into what they should be, including the arms, which I did not fold correctly. Off camera, I refolded them to be more correct. To help the arms keep their form, I absolutely pumped them full of hot glue before gluing them onto the body. Now that the head was sufficiently dried, I decided to paint it. Applying some fleshy toned colors, I was able to build up a good base layer. I then added some pinker colors for his nose and other pinkish bits on him, before he had a very villager looking face. For some reason, I decided to add mascara to him, or eyeliner or something. It didn't turn out well, so I repainted his eyes. After painting his eyes bright white again, I used a needle covered in green paint to put square irises on this villager. Being even more careful, I went in closer and added smaller eye details to give it that extra irisy look. Then I went over what I had done with a black little needle to add in the pupil. Once all the fine detailing on his eyes were done, it was time to accent them with a nice unibrow. I found a good candidate for unibrow material on this really old elastic I found. Listen to this ASMR. Quite pleasing to the ear, I'd say. Now, with this little strip of fabric, I lightly apply it to his forehead to bring the villager right out. Then, to protect the paint coating for his skin a little better, because they kept rubbing off, I added a coat of Mod Podge. Speaking of Mod Podge, I have this shiny Mod Podge, which I think would look really good to bring out the shine in his eyes. Now, I did earlier choose to use paper instead of fabric, and that may seem like an odd choice since clothes are normally made of fabric, but with paper I'm able to do this cool technique called, well, I don't know what it's called, but you kind of just get it wet and then scratch it together and it sort of melds the pieces of paper together. It's similar to paper mache, but paper mache is very different. I also took glue and wet pieces of paper and just kind of used it to tape or glue together bigger cracks like the one around his neck. Now in the movie, the clothes have more decoration than just green fabric. So that's what I'm preparing right here. Using this little strip of tape, I'm able to lay out some pre-cut ribbons. Now I know what you're thinking. How'd you pre-cut those ribbons to be so nice? Well, I could have gone through and cut them all individually, but instead I decided to use this cool process called a laser. And no safety. After I had the strips prepared, I was able to just glue them on. Now the cloak was too long for my liking, so I cut it off. Unfortunately, I cut off too much, and I had to re-glue it. Now, the rest of the ornaments go around his neck. The stuff that actually went around his neck was pretty easy, since I only had to show the very outside green, so I just took this thin strip of ribbon. However, around his neck, it has this sort of pixelated texture, so I had to place small squares of darker green fabric before painstakingly placing smaller, lighter green fabric on top of that. Next, I had to work on the shoes. I have to make two, so now, all I did was take these strips of cardboard and put them in a loop. Once the loop was all taped up, I just put that on top of the little square and glued it all together. Now, of course, these feet, being hollow cardboard squares, aren't going to be very heavy, whereas his head is going to be very heavy, being a dense block of clay. So, to help balance things out, I put several metal nails in the shoes. Anyway, this should help balance him out, and it might even be a little overkill. I did that on both of the shoes, painted them a nice gray, before cutting out some fabric for the pants. Funny enough, this scrap fabric is scrap fabric from a pair of pants that has already existed. Now, before I put the legs on, I should fix one last detail. Though my brilliance came through with using paper instead of fabric, it's quite brilliant, I know. The seams, which I patched up earlier with water, glue, and a lot of scratching, look a little ugly. So I used a thick layer of paint to cover it all up. The villager legs are actually quite big compared to his body, so I couldn't just stick them in and glue them. So I had to actually put them on off camera.